Right, this is the video feedback for Fatma for the Advanced 3D Animation module. Okay, I've had a good look through it, so let's go through it together and we'll look at a little bit of critique as we go. Now, the first thing I would say is that this is not actually meeting the brief correctly. In the assignment brief and in the tutorials and in the lectures, we discussed this idea that you're supposed to choose an audio file from Desert Island Discs, Radio 2 website, or Radio 4 website rather, which you then illustrate via a motion graphics sequence. This doesn't actually do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it based upon your use of 3D, animation, lighting, storytelling, pacing, 12 principles of animation, all of these things. But just bear in mind, this is not actually what you're asked to do. Okay, so benefit of the doubt this time, I'll mark it based on what I do see. But always read the brief. Right, okay, well, let's have a little wander through. Okay, so to begin with, in terms of modelling, this is a nice bit of modelling. I think there are a lot of kind of hard edges. I think we could have removed maybe some of those, for example, add a little bit more curvature to this sort of area. It's quite boxy, blocky. You can chamfered these corners off just to tidy things up. But that said, what's there is good. I like the use of maybe a little bit of characterisation for this seat. In fact, it's kind of almost walking across the floor with a little bouncy effect there, which is good. The lighting's good. I like the fact that you've had a go at doing some animated spotlights things. The only deficiency really with the lighting, and it's a good example probably in this scene, is there are no shadows in there. So these objects are not casting any shadows as far as I can tell. Certainly not casting any from the spotlights, which we would expect there to be at least some sort of type shadows coming from those. For the most part, again, it's good. It does reuse the same kind of visuals time and again, so it feels like there's probably maybe 30 seconds worth of animation here, which is reused time and again, rather than there actually being a minute and a half. But then the requirement was just for there to be about 30 seconds anyway in total, so I'm not so bothered about that. But if we look at what there is there, then we can critique that. Now, I think your camera work is good. It's subtle. It's not flying all over the place. It's not too erratic. It's not going to make anybody sick. It's going so quickly. So it's good camera control. Well, it's well thought through. I think subtle enough to be pleasing. I'm glad that you have tried to do some of these close-up type shots in your animation because it does showcase the level of detail you've gone to. That said, with this kind of thing, I'll just zip it forward. If you are going to do close-ups, then you need to have that level of detail in the 3D work. Now, yes, there's some reasonable detail in there, but the edges of these two angular, these keys should extend through. The white keys actually should be cut out to accommodate the position of these. So do your visual research. If you're going to create a piano, then look at pictures of pianos, look at the underlying mechanisms and how actually the keys do depress, how they work, how they fit in, the black keys and the white keys fit together and so on. Yeah, so overall this is good. It doesn't quite fit the brief, but what there is there is decent. The animation is reasonably well considered, although the only animation other than the camera work really is the animation of the keys moving. That's the piano keys. The lighting, which again is good, subtle, is well controlled, and also the seat coming across the screen. So there's some evidence of the 12 principles of animation in there. Maybe a little bit of characterization and appeal principle coming in for the seat. The timing principle is reasonably well employed because everything's reasonably well paced. It might have been worth trying to have a look at some changes in pace between different camera shots and things, but I'm not sure that would have suited the overall animation piece or the intentions of it. In terms of the use of audio, it's difficult to mark that too well because it's not really what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be use a piece of kind of verbal audio, if you like, spoken word, which is descriptive, and then kind of illustrate that piece. So that's difficult to mark against. Technically speaking, well modelled, reasonably well textured, reasonably well lit. Nothing is outstanding about it, but it's pretty decent there. In terms of creativity, it's a kind of it's a creative thing to do. Again, would have been guided more with the proper audio behind it, but that aside, it's a decent piece of work, and I think you probably learned a lot in doing this. I just wish you had stuck to the brief.